So chapter 26 will have a lot of, in 27 too, but impacts of a father on a son, both the good and also the bad. And we're going to learn that Isaac got some of the good from Abraham, but he also got some of the bad. And just the impact, not even just father on son, but as men, okay, on the rest of everybody, your co-workers, your friends, your family, all that stuff. You're going to have an impact on them whether you know it or not. So we'll get in. We'll just go ahead and get started on verse 1 there of chapter 26. It says, "Now there was a famine in the land." So right here already, it's a repeat, because if you remember, there was a famine in the land with Abraham. But at least here it explains, it says, besides the earlier famine of Abraham's time. Okay, so this is not, did you find it?
Yeah.
Good. Is it raining still?
No, it was not.
Okay.
But it was laying outside my truck.
No way. So good thing you got, is it all wet? Is it fine?
It got wet. But
Oh,
right.
okay. So chapter 26, we just started on the verse 1. So there is a famine going on. This is a different famine than it was in Abraham's time, because 100 years or so has passed. And it says, and Isaac went to Abimelech, king of the Philistines, in Gerar. Is there a chair out there, Richard?
Yes, sir.
All right. So Abimelech is back. Okay, so we got, there's, like I said, a lot of repeats here in 26. So we got a famine going on. Okay, Abimelech's back. Now, if you remember the famine in Abraham's time, that was a famine in Canaan, and that was in chapter 12. And if you remember, Abraham, when it happened, fled to Egypt. Okay, he didn't stay where God had told him to stay. He fled to Egypt. Okay, and then this Abimelech king, like I said, 100 years has passed. Okay, so when we see Abimelech here, and then later on we're going to see his military guy, Phicol. More likely, with the two people of the same name, more likely, a lot of commentaries are in agreement that this is just a title for people. 100 years later, it's probably not the same king unless he's, 200 years old maybe or so. But it was more like a title. Just like I take the Catholic Church, Pope. Well, the Pope we have now wasn't the Pope that was 100 years ago. So it's more like a title. So this Abimelech king, but he's actually a lot like the king from before. So I guess he could be the same, but like I said, more than likely it's just a title that was given to him. All right, so verse 2. It says, the Lord appeared to Isaac and said, do not go down to Egypt. So like I said, that's where Abraham went. Live in the land where I tell you to live. So that part right there where it says, the Lord appeared to Isaac, right at the beginning. So, Lord, we talked about, means Yahweh. And this is the one of only 3 people that it says, the Lord appeared to somebody. And he appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and then Jacob. So, basically this first lineage from Abraham, and then his son Isaac, and then his son Jacob. It's the only time it says the Lord. Now, Jesus appeared to people, God appeared to people, but the Lord, Yahweh, only appeared to them 3. And the Jacob one we haven't got to yet. That'll come in later in chapter 35. So, all right, so verse 3, it says, stay in this land, this is God speaking, stay in this land for a while, and I will be with you and will bless you. For to you and your descendants I will give all these, and look at this, it says lands, okay, no, not just land anymore, it's plural, and will confirm the oath I swore to your father Abraham. Okay, remember that Abraham, it was always just, I will give you this land. Well, now we're hearing lands. So it's basically God is going to add the land of the Philistines on this promise. It was just like the land of Canaan where Abraham was told to stay. Now we're going to get the land of Canaan plus the Philistines. And now this part right here, what he's talking about, this is the part that Israel in present day has gave up. Okay, the way I'm picturing it's like the Gaza Strip and that. Like originally, some of that was part of Israel, but Israel let them have it back, and that's why there's always fighting over it. Because in the for peace sake, Israel's fine, whatever, take it back, even though it's ours. I mean, back in Genesis, it's technically ours, but so that's this land the new land that God is talking about here. And it says, I will be with you. This is the first time God says, I will be with you. There's been a lot of blessings, like I'm going to bless you. I make this covenant with you. But this is actually the first time God says, I am going to be with you. And that one leads me to Matthew 28:20. Read that real quick. I had it stored. I'm pretty sure this is when Jesus ascended. Yeah. So Matthew 28:20, it's the last verse in Matthew, and it says, "And teaching them," is the Great Commission, "and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you, and surely I am with you always to the very end of the age." So God is saying here he's going to be with Isaac, and Jesus said that to all of us, that he's, if you take Jesus for your Lord and Savior, he's going to be with you to the very end of the age. He's not going to forsake you or leave you. All right, so verse 5, we got a big dad moment here. It says, because Abraham obeyed me and kept my requirements, my commands, my decrees, and my laws. So this is why, or I didn't read 4, did I? Oh, see, catch myself. All right, so verse 4, I was like, man, it says because, and I'm like, I didn't even explain what the because was. All right, so verse 4, it says, I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky, and will give them all these lands, so plural again, and through your offspring, all nations on earth will be blessed. And then here's 5, because, okay, and this is the dad moment, because Abraham, which was Isaac's dad, obeyed me and kept my requirements, my commands, my decrees, and my laws. That obeying, I bring it up so much because it says, John 14:15, if Jesus says, if you love me, you will keep my commands. These people that go around saying that, oh, I know Jesus, I love Jesus, but they have no evidence of it whatsoever. And I bring it up a lot, but if you say you're a golfer, okay? I was hoping Ben would have been in here for that. Say you love golf, okay? Oh, really? Well, what kind of golf clubs you got? Well, I don't have any. Okay, well, where do you like to play golf? Well, I've never really played, but I love golf, So it don't make no sense. So if you're saying that you love Jesus, don't know anything about him, don't keep any of his commandments that he has, it's pretty tough to say that you love Jesus, okay? You might know who he is, but it doesn't mean he's your Lord and Savior. So that's what Abraham, if you remember, his faith was so strong. What did it say earlier in Genesis? It was credited to him as righteousness. And it says Abraham obeyed. He had saving faith. His faith wasn't dead. And he kept all the requirements. Now, we seen his stumbles. I mean, we're all going to have stumbles. And the one thing he stumbled on twice, which he's going to teach Isaac to do. But he wasn't perfect, but he obeyed as best as he could, if that makes sense. So take this in a father's sense, okay? Isaac is getting blessed because of his dad obeying God's commandments. As a dad, we should be working that hard, obeying God, and then get it passed down on into our generation, or our next generation. And then for anybody, because I don't know everybody's backstory, but like say your dad wasn't a godly man, in generational curses. My wife talks about this a lot. She tries to break a lot of generational curses, like from her parents, and it's never too late to get that to stop. So if your dad wasn't a godly man, that means he probably learned it from his dad, your grandpa or whatever. You know what I mean? So it can keep going, but there's a time. You guys are all in this room right now. You can get that generational curse to stop, and it can start fresh with you, to live a godly life and be the godly father, and then pass it on to your next generation. Be the generational breaker, so to say. So we got verse 5. Abraham obeyed, kept my requirements, my commands, my decrees, and my laws. And then here's where it was passed on to Abraham. This is a good thing Abraham learned, or Isaac learned from Abraham. It says, so Isaac stayed in Gerar. He learned from his dad. Abraham left, went to Egypt. Isaac stayed where he was supposed to, where God wanted him to. So Isaac right here was listening and obeying, just like Abraham had done, except on that part of it. Abraham went to Egypt. So verse 7. When the men of that place asked him, okay, see, he did good, but he didn't. We're going to stumble. We're going to have one of them stumbles. When the men of that place asked him about his wife, he said, she is my sister. It's rinse, lather, repeat. Because he was afraid to say, she is my wife. He thought the men of this place might kill me on account of Rebekah because she is beautiful. Okay, so he's making the same mistake. That's why I'm saying it's never too late to try to stop that generational curse. And this is a thing, so not just as dads, but especially as dads, if you're a dad or a future dad, we are always you're never not influencing somebody, okay? Your influence is always out there. You can't turn your influence off. So your influence can either be a detriment or it can be a blessing, okay? No matter what you're doing, it's going to be influencing somebody. And like I said, especially on the dad issue, because your kids watching and listen all the time. They see even if you have young kids. I mean, they know. I mean, you remember when our kids were young? Like they know, they can pick up on things really, really easy. So, all right. So verse 8. When Isaac had been there a long time, Abimelech, king of the Philistines, so we're Philistine land here, looked down from a window and saw Isaac caressing his wife Rebekah. So Abimelech summoned Isaac and said, she is really your wife. Why did you say she is my sister? And Isaac answered him, because I thought I might lose my life on the account of her. So Abimelech, spying a little bit, whatever you might want to say, he's looking out and he's like, that'd be something weird to do with your sister here. So he's like, he summons him and is like, hey, that's come clean. Like that's not really, that's your wife, ain't it? So he's like, yes. And just like Abraham, worried about losing his life. He's judging these people already. Could have just been like, hey, this is my wife. Like, we're all good here. We ain't going to cause any problem. Don't cause any problem. No, he just assumed, tell a lie. And Satan is the king of lies. He just thought, I'm just going to tell this lie and try to get through. Well, it's caught up to him. And obviously, reading through this, there's a whole lot of trickery, dishonesty, deceitfulness that runs through this family. And we're actually going to see more deceitfulness and trickery later when we get into 27. But, I mean, it runs thick in this family. So verse 10, it says, then Abimelech said, what is this you have done to us? One of the men might have slept with your wife, and you would have brought guilt upon us. So Abimelech gave orders to all the people, anyone who molests this man or his wife shall surely be put to death. Okay? Abraham is putting his fear over his faith. Okay? Because he's worried about his life. Same thing Abraham was doing. He's putting his fear over his faith. And Abimelech here seems to have more knowledge of God, of who God is, because he's worried that, man, if any of my people would have done something to Rebecca here, it would have cursed us all. So it seems like Abimelech, just like the last Abimelech, it's got more knowledge of who God is and more fear of God, so to say, than what Isaac has. And you got a pagan king here that's fearing God more than supposed to be. It's going to be the line of the Jewish people forever. So it's a good example for us as a church people, not as a church building, but as people of the church, live our life, okay, like we believe in the God we supposedly serve, which, I say this stuff over too. Especially make our lives look like we believe in God more than the people that don't even believe in God. Because face it, there are unbelievers out there that are really good people. Rich people that give to charities, just some really genuine, nice people, but they might not have a single clue about God. And then here, so-called believers a lot of times live their life in a way that does not resemble God whatsoever, which now the more I'm learning, some of these so-called believers, I think they're not really saved like they think they are. And this actually goes back, it doesn't even, it kind of fits in, but it hit me just a while ago when I was going through this again, but a little bit of what I talked about last night. So let me just read you a section from Revelation. This is just a description about the Battle of Armageddon, okay? So it says, another angel came out of the temple in heaven, and you don't have to understand really what's going on, but you'll get the gist of it. And he too had a sharp sickle. Still another angel who had a charge of the fire came from the altar and called in a loud voice to him who had the sharp sickle. Take your sharp sickle and gather the clusters of grapes, so that's the unbelievers, from the earth's vine, because its grapes are ripe. The angel swung his sickle on the earth, gathered its grapes, and threw them into a winepress. Okay, so the angel's gathering all the unbelievers, throwing them into a winepress. And then it says, the angel swung his sickle on the earth, gathered its grapes, and threw them into the great winepress of God's wrath. Okay? They were trampled in the winepress outside the city, and blood flowed out of the press, rising as high as the horses' bridles for a distance of 1,600 stadia. So that's 180 to 200 miles. So you got a horse's bridle about this deep. And this is at that Mount Megiddo where the Battle of Armageddon is going to happen, because this is a description of the Battle of Armageddon before it actually happens that John sees here in Revelation. So that deep of blood, because all these unbelievers at this time, Jesus is going to come down with his saints, so with us, this Battle of Armageddon that's going to last like 3 seconds, because Jesus is just going to destroy it all that fast. So blood that deep, okay? And then, well, I guess that was in a different part. It talks about their torture starts here on earth, and then it goes, I think it's just right here in the page before. They will be tormented. So after that, when they get judged and then go down into hell, they'll be tormented with burning sulfur in the presence of holy angels and of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment rises forever and ever. There is no rest, day or night, for those who worship the beast and his image, or anyone who receives the mark of his name. So it's talking about torture lasting forever and ever. We all hear that. We've heard it about hell. Oh yeah, eternity, that's for a long time. But when you actually read it and know what's going on, it hits even harder. And if you know all this and believe all this, our lives should reflect this. Like, holy cow, this discipleship, we should be taking that seriously. Our discipleship. And I brought it up last night. A picture of a loved one that you have that you're not for sure if they're a believer or not. Imagine them going through that. They probably ain't going to be here during the tribulation, because we don't know when that's going to be. They might not have the Battle of Armageddon. But that torture forever and ever, no break from it. If you go to the Lazarus and the rich man story, the rich man wanted at least a drink of water, something to cool his fingers or his tongue or his mouth. I can't remember exactly what it was, but there's no relief from it. So if we believe all that is true, don't you think our lives should reflect that? And being like, hey, this is the God we serve. I want to help you not to fall in that trap where you're going to have to deal with all that. I mean, it just puts it into perspective when you actually read it and put it into play in your life. Like if we're believing all that's true, our lives should reflect it, and we should be living accordingly, and then also taking our discipleship seriously, going out and trying to reach others. All right, so that was my tangent because I thought it fit kind of along line. Huh? Thanks, Tom. All right, so verse 12, it says, Isaac planted crops in that land, and the same year reaped 100-fold, because the Lord blessed him. Like we read earlier, it says, I will be with you. Verse 13, the man became rich, and his wealth continued to grow until he became very wealthy. So he was rich and then very wealthy. Verse 14, he had so many flocks and herds and servants that the Philistines now envied him. Okay, so they're being like, whoa. Like, you're getting a little too powerful here. We're kind of worried about you. So put this in like today's perspectives. Worldly people, all right, are trying to think, hey, this God's blessing you here. What's going on? So they're being a little envious. So verse 15. So all the wells that his father's servants had dug in the time of his father Abraham, the Philistines stopped up, filling them with earth. So basically, you got ungodly people causing damage to a godly person. I mean, that happens all the time. And to this day, the church, Christianity is more persecuted than any other religion out there. One, because I think it's the only religion that speaks the truth, and Satan's scared of the truth, so that's why he leaves all the other religions alone. But so water, obviously, still even to this day, it was a precious resource, especially in the desert. And plugging someone's well often led to war. Okay, I mean, you plugged up somebody's well. I mean, they were usually pissed off, and then they're going to have a war over it. So Isaac could have retaliated, but instead, we're going to read that he just moved on and dug new wells. Okay, but customish at the time, most time people would just throw a fit and start throwing hands right then and there. But Isaac was holding back. All right, so verse 16. Then Abimelech said to Isaac, move away from us. You have become too powerful for us. So Isaac moved away from there, and it's, well, I take it it's not far away, okay, but he moved away from there and encamped in the valley of Gerar and settled there. Isaac reopened the wells that had been dug in the time of his father Abraham, which the Philistines had stopped up after Abraham died, and he gave them the same names of that his father had given them. So if you remember that was from chapters ago. You dug some, had to move it. All right. So verse 19 here says, Isaac's servants dug in the valley and discovered a well of fresh water there. So this well of fresh water, the way I took it, so a lot of things else was just talking about wells. Well, this one here actually has a little more description, a well of fresh water. And the way I was taking it, that it's like an artesian well, so it's a constant flow. It's not just bubble up for a little bit and it gets kind of rancid or something. I'm assuming it's fresh water continuously. So verse 20. But the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with Isaac's herdsmen and said, the water is ours. So he named the well Esek, which means dispute, because they disputed with him. Then they dug another well, but they quarreled over that one also. So he named it Sitnah, and that means opposition. So he moved on from there and dug another well, and no one quarreled over it. He named it Rehoboth, which means room, saying, now the Lord has given us room, and we will flourish in the land. So why is Isaac having to move? Okay, there every time he dug a well, it seemed like somebody wanted to quarrel over it, and he's not going to fight back. He's not going to retaliate. So why is Isaac having to move? So it's God trying to move Isaac, okay, to get him right where he wants him in the perfect spot, okay, for to fulfill the lands, the plural, to get him right where exactly he wants him. Probably, I don't know why he just didn't say, hey, go to, that third rock from the left there. I don't know, but instead he just decided to move. Apparently, when you think of when Isaac's moving, it's not just him. I mean, I'm assuming like a farm, like huge operation. If he was very wealthy and had all the stuff, so it's not just a little bit of moving, I don't think. But so anyway, so God's getting him to where exactly he wants him to be, and this is actually foreshadowing, believe it or not, of something in the New Testament. Okay, so the Church of Acts, when it was started, it was supposed to spread out. The apostles were supposed to go baptize all nations and stuff. Well, they were wanting to stay right there close. Okay, they weren't wanting to move. And what did Jesus, God, do to the Church of Acts to finally get them to disperse? That was Saul coming in to persecute the church. Finally got the church, and you can go read about that in Acts 8. But Saul's persecution of the church finally made the church spread out to go do exactly what they were meant to do. So that moving around was foreshadowing here for that later on in Acts. All right, so let's see. 23. From there he went to Beersheba. The night the Lord appeared to him and said, I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bless you and will increase the number of your descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham. Isaac built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord. There he pitched his tent, and there his servants dug a well. All right, so right here in 25 it says built an altar. Well, guess where he learned that from? His dad Abraham. If you remember Lot, nowhere did Lot ever, Lot was Abraham's nephew. Nowhere did he ever say that he stopped and built an altar. But Isaac in here learned from Abraham in his worshiping God right here. So 26. Meanwhile, Abimelech had come to him from Gerar with Ahuzah, his personal advisor, and Phicol. So like I said, that Phicol, that's the same name we heard earlier too, which means probably just a title, okay? Like he's his commander of his army. So it's probably just a title, not probably the same person. Personal advisor, and Phicol, the commander of his forces. Isaac asked him, why have you come to me, since you were hostile to me and sent me away? They answered, we saw clearly, okay? It doesn't say shadowy, maybe iffy, but it says we saw clearly that the Lord was with you. So we said, there ought to be a sworn agreement between us and you. Let us make a treaty with you, that you will do us no harm, just as we did not molest you, but always treated you well and sent you away in peace. And now you are blessed by the Lord. Okay, so Abimelech and his people see what's going on. They see clearly that this is a man of God. So they're wanting to get, even though they don't want to worship God, they just don't want God to be causing them any problems. Okay, so it's like Abimelech's thinking that if we get this oath, this treaty with Isaac, we should be safe. Okay, nothing, God shouldn't come upon us. But one of the neat things there, when Abimelech says, we did not molest you, but always treated you well. If you remember just right a few verses ago, he's the one that told Isaac, like, hey, why don't you move away from us? So he's kind of kicking him out. So he wasn't always treating him well. But in his eyes, he was trying to make an amends. He was trying to apologize and like, hey, we always treated you well. We didn't molest you. Let's make this oath. So then Isaac, verse 30 says, Isaac then made a feast for them. They ate and drank. Early the next morning, the men swore an oath to each other. Then Isaac sent them on their way, and they left in peace. So Isaac wound up making the agreement with them. Okay, he took Abimelech's halfway apology for kicking him out of the area to begin with, and there's a life lesson in that too. Okay, so if somebody wrongs you and comes up to you, apologizes a little bit, even if it's not a good apology or a half-ass apology, just make amends with it, just like Isaac did here. It's going to be better in the long run than to keep a beef with somebody. And besides, Jesus says that forgive others. And actually, I don't know if you know this, but Jesus says if you don't forgive others, he doesn't have to forgive you of your sins. So that's kind of one of them punching hard verses. I don't remember exactly where it is, but I know it's in there because I've read that several times. That's one verse that a lot of people like to leave out. So verse 32. That day Isaac's servants came and told him about the well they had dug. Where am I? Oh, hold on. I get it. They had dug. They said, we found water. He called it Shabbat, which means oath or seven. And to this day, the name of the town has been Beersheba. Okay? So that's kind of that story. But then once again, we see a little description of something that really does not fit along with the story whatsoever. But it has meaning for the upcoming chapter. So it says there in 34, when Esau was 40 years old, he married Judith, daughter of Beeri, the Hittite. Okay, Hittites aren't good people. And also Basemath, daughter of Elon, the Hittite. They were a source of grief to Isaac and Rebekah. Okay, so that's alluding to troubles coming. Okay, and we're going to see, I'll bring this up when we get in here in 27. So Esau, the son that's not got the promise through, is marrying Hittite women, pagan women, unbeliever women, whatever you want to put it. Not people of the faith, so to say. All right, so chapter 27. This is actually another dad issue, but now we're going to look at dad. Okay, Isaac was learning either the good or the bad from Abraham. Here, Jacob, Esau, is learning from Isaac. Okay, so the real issues going on, if you read ahead for this week, the real issues going on through here can all usually be relayed back to dad. Yeah, and mom a little bit, yeah. But men's group, I'm gonna stick with the dad part. But no, we will bring up Rebecca too. All right, so I'm gonna read these probably in sections. So I'm gonna go through 1 through 4 first, and then kind of go back and talk about it. When Isaac was old and his eyes were so weak that he could no longer see, he called for Esau, his older son, and said to him, "My son, here I am," he answered. Isaac said, "I am now an old man, and don't know the day of my death. Now then, get your weapons, your quiver and bow, and go out to the open country to hunt some wild game for me. Prepare me the kind of tasty food I like and bring it to me to eat so that I may give my blessing before I die." Okay, Isaac's declining. And if you remember, Esau, which is technically the older son, because they were twins, but Esau was like a few seconds older. Esau is Isaac's favorite. You can go back to chapter 25, verse 28. So Esau is Isaac's favorite, and Rebecca had, oh my goodness, Jacob. Yeah, I got so many names going on right here. I'm going to probably bring up Noah and Moses here before too long.
We'll help you out.
Yeah, good, because I need all I can get. And so Rebecca had Jacob, okay? So Isaac right here is completely ignoring the words of God that God spoke to Rebecca, saying, and that's in 25:23, that Jacob is the one that the blessing will go through. Isaac is completely ignoring it. And to me, it seems like he's trying to take that detour that Abraham and Sarah did, when like, hey, let's get Hagar, go breed with Hagar and then have Ishmael, which led to problem. So it seems like they're wanting to try to make their own detour here, or Isaac is. At least Rebecca ain't part of it, of the detour. So Jacob is the one that's supposed to get the blessing, but Isaac wants it to go to Esau because Esau's his favorite. He's the man's man, what you'd think of. And the hunter, remember, he's the hunter. So he's telling him, go get his weapons, go get me some food. Isaac is being completely disobedient. And not to mention, okay, he's forgetting not only God's word, but he's forgetting Esau done gave up his birthright. Jacob done tricked him out of that. And he's also overlooking, and this is why I think that blurb was put in at the end of chapter 26, he's overlooking Esau's awful marriages that he had. Right before this even got started, he's marrying ungodly Hittite women. But Isaac is overlooking all that. And then look there, if you read through there, I underlined them all, but there's a lot of, when Isaac's talking, a lot of I, my, me, I, my, me, I. There's a lot of I's and me's in there, okay? He's being selfish. He's looking out, not necessarily for himself, but for his favorite child. So Isaac, and this brings up a good point, Isaac seemed to have started out pretty good, started out strong, okay, in his faith. But, I mean, he's wavering a lot here at the end when we read things like this. And it's always a reminder for us that no matter what age we're in, okay, we're all different ages in here. You don't get up to, say, retirement age, whatever it is now, and kick it out of gear and just coast downhill until you reach heaven. I mean, you keep the foot on the floor, keep trying to reach people, keep doing your discipleship. Paul talked, Paul says, he fought the good fight, ran the race or whatever, fought the good fight. And then what did he do? I mean, he was in jail, and I'm pretty sure it's about how he was in jail, and he knew he wasn't getting out anymore, right? So what he was teaching Timothy, okay, he was mentoring Timothy to carry on, okay? He didn't just sit in jail, be like, I'm done, I did all I can do. No, he's trying to teach somebody outside there to keep on going for God. So let's see. So list of the sins Isaac was doing. He puts himself before the Lord right here. He's disobeying God's command. And he is living by his feelings, okay, instead of leaning on his faith, his feelings, his love for his favorite son, instead of leaning on his faith. And I have a thing that if we get done in time, I would play it. So Rick was going on right here about dad-kid stuff. And like he was explaining some stuff so good that I'm like, there's no way I could write all that down that great. So I tried to screen record it. So when we get done, if it works, I might play it. That's if my phone. Sometimes the speaker just quits on my phone. So we'll see how that goes. All right. So 5. Let's go through. Let's see 5 through 8, and then we'll go back a little bit. So now Rebecca was listening. Okay, as Isaac spoke to his son Esau. When Esau left for the open country to hunt game and bring it back, Rebekah said to her son Jacob, "Look, I overheard your father say to your brother Esau, 'Bring me some game and prepare me some tasty food to eat, so that I may give you my blessing in the presence of the Lord before I die.' Now, my son, listen carefully and do what I tell you. I'll stop there. All right, so Rebecca was listening. She's eavesdropping basically, because I'm going to say there's probably a little bit distrust in that family, because they both had, it says scripture, it tells us they both had their favorite children, so I'm assuming there's a little bit distrust in there. So what does Rebecca do? She's scheming right here. She's trying to get away around this, even though God has specifically told her about the blessing going through Jacob and not Esau, but she's still scheming. So our faith, we should have so much faith. Faith is living without having to scheme. So her faith is not strong at this moment. If she's not, she should be sitting back and being like, God's done got this, you know. Faith means obeying God no matter how we feel what's going on, or what we think might happen. We're to obey God in all that He says, and with this little bit of distrust that I think is going on here. Okay, so obviously, if she's having to eavesdrop here, I don't think they even communicate much, and this is a husband-wife thing here. As a husband, are you guys like do you communicate with your wives? Me and my wife talk about it all the time. We got so many people, friends, close friends even, that like the husband, they don't even know what's going on. They know if they gotta go maybe pick up the kid maybe by 5 o'clock somewhere or something, or like one's gone and the other one doesn't even know, like, you know, I usually know if my wife's got a doctor's appointment, you know, what's going on, but like so many husband and wives don't communicate, and I mean, there's even some in the family, like on my wife's side, that if it ain't the FU marriage, you know, that wouldn't be a marriage at all. You know, walk by each other and be like, FU. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, everybody's in here kind of nodding like, hey, I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, Russell.
I know some people like that.
Right, but I mean, it's awful. And I know when we had our last couples conference here, we were telling Russell that like that needs to be like its own conference, just talking about communication, because we see it all the time, and that it's 90% of everybody's problems is that husband and wives don't communicate. If you don't know what's wrong, or what's going on, it just leads to so many issues, and that's exactly what's going on right here. I mean, all Rebecca would have had to do was like step in if she's over here and just being like, honey, this is not, you know, she should have usurped him for this example because he's disobeying God. This is her time as his helper to step in and be like, no, this is not what God said. We don't need to be doing this. I mean, he's failing because he should have been the leader and being like, no, but this is the time when he's disobeying that she steps in and was like, no, we this is not what God said. It's going to be fine. It's going to go through Jacob, and that's the way it's going to be. So obviously there's not much communication going on here.
And
Why you keep saying Jacob? I thought it was going through Esau.
No, the blessing's going through Jacob.
I know, but wasn't it supposed to go through Esau?
Mm-hmm. No.
So, because Esau was the one he sent out to hunt, right?
Yeah, that's who that's who Isaac wants it to go through Esau, but it's not supposed to go through
Because
Esau.
he's the firstborn.
Yeah,
It actually falls to him.
yeah, but God, when they were in the womb yet, God told Rebecca that, hey, it's going through Jacob and not Esau. It's going to go, yeah. That was right over there in chapter 25. It says, chapter 25, verse 23, the older will serve the younger. And then, it explains it all in 25.
Yeah.
When he made him a meal and gave up his birthright.
Yeah, and then, later on,
Right.
and that was trickery already on Jacob's part, because he didn't have to trick, because God already said he's going to get the birthright, but he went ahead and tricked Esau and given it up anyway. So there's a lot of dishonesty stuff going through. Deceit, yeah, that's right, through this whole family.
But did Rebecca tell Isaac that about her dream?
It doesn't say that she did.
Yeah, it does. You would assume that's what I mean. There could be a lack of communication in this whole family. Like nobody's even talking. Nobody even knows what's going on.
And he put his son before his wife.
Yeah, and he's putting his son before his wife. Yeah.
Things are so bad here. I mean, I had never noticed this before, but there, verse 5, Isaac said to his son Esau, and then after that, Rebekah said to her son Jacob.
Oh, there you go.
They're not even recognizing the other. And then Rebekah said, I heard your father talking to your brother Esau. It's not even, I heard
Our son.
Or my other son or anything. Yeah.
It's like, they're really,
Messed up, ain't it?
it sounds like a TV series.
Yeah. Right.
Jerry
And-
Springer.
Yeah. And it's good lessons. I mean, you wouldn't think like if you just normally just read through this without like studying it, so to say, you would just go through it and be like, hey, that's a pretty good story. But when you study, like, oh my gosh, it's got so many life lessons in on this.
Or to be God's people.
Yeah, right, exactly right. Okay, yeah. So there should be some communication. Obviously, it's not Rebecca's scheming. Isaac's trying to not do what God has promised. And to your point, Pat, like, I don't think we know for sure Isaac was told this, that it's going through Jacob. But I think everybody just assumes that he. But you know what assuming does, so. Not really for sure. If we missed it, you have to go back and read 25 chapters to see if it's in there. But I mean, he knows his seed is going to be great in many nations. But now, whether if he knows it exactly, I'd have to go back and look for sure. Rebecca definitely knows it's supposed to go through Jacob, and I'm assuming.
But isn't it in verse 2, isn't it Isaac talking to Esau?
Yes, yeah, you are correct about that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's was the point I was trying
Yeah,
to make there.
yeah.
He's talking to Esau,
Mm-hmm.
and he says here, go out and then make me the meal so that I can bless you before I die.
Yeah, Isaac wants to bless Esau,
Right.
even though that's not God's way.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be Jacob.
I got you.
Yeah.
But I'm still saying that so now I'm, that's
Yeah,
what-
yeah, but
Isaac is the one that's doing
disobeying.
it wrong.
Yes,
I
yeah,
got
yeah,
you. I'm
yeah.
on board.
But now Rebecca's not innocent either because
No,
she's scheming.
She's the one right here turning around,
Mhm.
bringing Jacob back into the picture.
Yeah, yeah, and which it's supposed to. If everybody just would have listened to God through all this, it all would have worked out great, and like there would have been no problems and anything. But see, these two pick.
The book of Genesis. Then.
What
Yeah,
happened,
that's right.
What
But-
happened here with Rebecca, the one that just instantly left and went to marry him and met him in the field and fell to her knees and all that? What happened?
Yeah, now that's like,
Yeah, what happened?
yeah, where's the sweet romance
I
and
missed
stuff?
the gap.
Yeah.
It was only a few pages ago,
It's-
you know?
I know, right?
How could she forget?
So what you're saying, Pat, the two became one
Yeah,
and cared for each other, and now they're
exactly.
Yeah.
not in that same
Only in a few pages.
spirit anymore.
Yeah, it's a good point, Richard. Very good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly it. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Let's see. And okay, here's another question for you. Why is it that Rebecca only thinks that her only option in all this is to deceive Isaac? Okay, so that like, why couldn't she just go up and talk to Isaac? You know, obviously they're not. You know, why does she think she has to? Yeah, go behind his back, deceive him, trickery, deceitfulness. You know what I mean? Why does she think this is the
Well, I
only
think
option
it's
to do it?
Because she knows he's still the man of the house, and
Yeah.
he's going to make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
And she just says, "Okay, that's like talking to the wall."
Yeah,
You know,
that's
You
good.
know, honestly, I
Yeah.
believe that it's like this is the only way I'm going to get around it.
That's right.
Just to
I believe it.
Yeah.
That's good.
He's got old, maybe he has dementia or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, it says he's weak. Okay, maybe he's not in good shape. All right, so verse 9. So this is Rebecca was talking to Jacob here. And it says, "Go out to the flock and bring 2 choice young goats, so I can prepare some tasty food for your father, just the way he likes it. Then take it to your father to eat, so that he may give you his blessing before he dies. Okay. I'm not sure how Rebecca is going to. I've never had goat meat. Okay, I'm not sure how she's going to take. Apparently, it's really good. A goat burger. Yeah, that's that's. I mean, I've heard it's pretty good. But now, is it going to taste like a wild game? I don't know which one would be better. But apparently, she's going to try to make these two goats taste like wild game, because that's what Isaac had asked for. Okay, so she's a good culinary person or something.
Lots of salt.
Yeah, I mean, she might be taking over Jackson Deli soon. I mean, not really sure. So we'll go into 11 here. But so she's got trickery going on, and then I wanted to point it out one more thing. So if you remember, Esau lost his birthright over what, a meal? Okay. What's getting to Isaac here? He wants his food. He wants his wild game meal here. So like father, like son, right there, Isaac and Esau. All right, so verse 11. We'll go 11 and 12. Jacob said to Rebekah, his mother, "But my brother Esau is a hairy man, and I'm a smooth skin. What if my father touches me? I would appear to be tricking him and would bring down a curse on myself rather than a blessing." So Jacob right here, he's not worried about if this is right or wrong. He's more worried about if it's safe to do or if he gets caught. Okay. The one commentary, Warren Wiersbe, he put this, says Jacob is reaching for the 11th commandment: "Thou shalt not get caught." So that's he's.
What does he mean by if his father touches it? I don't.
Like,
Because it's smooth gas
yeah.
versus
So like
air.
So is he gonna give him this in the dark? Is what I.
He
Yeah.
can't
He
see.
can't
Yeah.
see.
Remember it said in 27, he was old and his eyes were
Oh.
weak.
Okay.
He cannot see.
I got
So
you.
he's got a feel of him.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then, we'll get to the voice thing too. I was worried about the voice, but it talked about that. So, all right, yeah, he's worried about the 11th commandment: "Thou shalt not get caught." Not worried about doing right or wrong here. And so we get in the 13. His mother said to him, "My son, let the curse fall on me. Just do what I say. Go and get them for me." So she's getting her way, but it's going to cost her, okay? Because sin, we've said it before, sin always matters. Later, Jacob's going to be sent away, okay? And Rebecca is not going to ever see him again. When here in just, by the time we finish this, we're going to learn that he's got to get sent away. So she gets her way for now, but it's going to cost her. I had this. There's no place for deception in the life of the redeemed, and it's Psalms 32:2 talks a little bit about that. So we'll go through 14 and 15 here. So when he went and got them and brought them to his mother, she prepared some tasty food, just the way his father liked it. Then Rebekah took the best clothes of Esau, her older son, which she had in the house, and put them on her younger son, Jacob. She also covered his hand and the smooth part of his neck with the goat skin. Then she handed to her son Jacob the tasty food and the bread she had made. So one thing to point out here, okay, Esau's old, okay, older. I mean, he's old enough to be out of the house, probably 40-ish, I think. Yeah. So how did Rebecca have Esau's clothes still in her house? Okay, he was married. We learned that he was married and out of the house. Seems maybe either she had been planning this for a while. Okay, maybe she had this scheme already drawn up. Like, hey, I might need to keep some of Esau's clothes around in case I ever need to pretend Jacob's Esau. Or, I mean, maybe the dude just left stuff at mom and dad's house. I don't know, but it's just a good point to kind of bring up. All right, so we'll go on to verse 20. So 18. He went to his father and said, "My father." "Yes, my son," he answered. "Who is it?" Jacob said to his father, "I am Esau, your firstborn." Remember, it's Jacob. "I have done as you told me. Please sit up and eat some of my game so that you may give me your blessing. Isaac asked his son, "How did you find it so quickly, my son?" "The Lord your God gave me success," he replied. Okay, that last sentence
Good
right there.
answer.
Yeah. That last one, oh, that's blasphemy right there. Oh wait. God
Well, hey, he's already on a roll.
Yeah.
Why can't you?
That's exactly right. I mean, this family's got some of this down pat.
But he's not even accepting God as his own because it says your God.
Yeah, the Lord your
Your
God
God
gave me
gave
success.
me
Good
success.
pickup,
Not
Russell.
my God.
Yeah.
Or the Lord our God.
Or just say God. Like, yeah. Lord your God. Yeah. Good call. And he's doubling down. He could have come clean right here. After the first instant, he could have come clean. But then, I mean, he brings God into the picture and is trying to use God as an excuse, which is just pure blasphemy right here.
Yeah, you're right. He could have brought it up. God talked to Rebecca, my mom. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
He could explain the whole thing.
Yeah, so if it
You're
wasn't
right.
explained before, could have been right. That's really good too. Man, you guys are on fire tonight.
But you know, I'm sure Rebecca talked to him about it.
Yeah.
You know.
Right, probably not a conversation you'd want to have with your dad, but yeah. Oh man, it's good. All right, so 21 through 24 here is going to be lies to cover the lies, okay? That's basically what you can put for that. Then Isaac said to Jacob, "Come near so I can touch you, my son, to know whether you really are my son Esau or not." Jacob went close to his father Isaac, who touched him and said, "The voice," I was worried about voices when I was reading this first time. "The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are of Esau." He did not recognize him, for his hands were hairy like those of his brother Esau. So he blessed him. "Are you really my son Esau?" he asked. "I am," he replied. Then he said, "My son, bring me some of your game to eat, so that I may give you my blessing." Jacob brought it to him. He ate, and he brought some wine, and he drank. And then 26. Then his father Isaac said to him, "Come here, my son, and kiss me." You want a little more foreshadowing with this? So Jacob is claiming to love his dad by kissing him, okay? Foreshadowing. Judas claiming to love Jesus right before he deceives him. Okay, well, that's good foreshadowing from Genesis to New Testament stuff there. I wouldn't have put that together. That I either read it or Rick said it, one of the two. But I mean, it is good. All right, so then we're going to get into the blessing. Verse 27. So he went to him and kissed him. When Isaac caught the smell of his clothes, he blessed him and said, and see, I didn't even think about smell, but Esau's clothes must have smelled just like Esau. So like I said, seems like Rebecca maybe been planning that a while and had that, probably put in a hefty Ziploc bag so it wouldn't, so the smell wouldn't go away.
She's a smart woman.
Right, exactly. She didn't use no cleaner on them. All right, so it says, and then here's the blessing. The smell of my son is like the smell of a field, because remember, he's the field guy, he's the hunter guy, that the Lord has blessed. May God give you of heaven's dew and of earth's richness, and abundance of grain and new wine. May nations serve you, and people bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may the sons of your mother bow down to you. May those who curse you be cursed, and those who bless you be blessed. And now remember, he's saying all this because he thinks it's his son Esau, but it's Jacob. I mean, that's a heck of a blessing right there. And the verse 29 there, actually, it fits in back Abraham's blessing from God back in chapter 12, verse 3. That's actually popped up a couple different times. These words right there indicate that Isaac thought that God's covenantal line should go through Isaac, whether if he knew it or whether he was trying to overdo God's word. He was convinced, Isaac was convinced that it should go through Isaac, no matter what God says. This should go through Isaac, but it's not. I mean, those are pretty powerful words wrote down right there. All right, so verse 30, we'll go 30 to 33. After Isaac finished blessing him, and Jacob had scarcely left his father's presence, his brother Esau came in from hunting. He too prepared some tasty food and brought it to his father. Then he said to him, My father, sit up and eat some of my game, so that you may give me your blessing. His father Isaac asked him, Who are you? I am your son, he answered, your firstborn, Esau. And then Isaac trembled violently and said, Who is it then that hunted game and brought it to me? I ate it just before you came and blessed him, and indeed he will be blessed. Okay, Isaac trembled violently, it said there, verse 33. He knew at that moment, like the Lord, no matter what, how bad Isaac wanted Esau to get the blessing, he knew the Lord would overruled him. Okay, his own selfish plan. God overruled his selfish plan, and there was no take backs either. Okay, because it said there, and indeed he will be blessed. You can't take it back. These blessings, there are some commentaries that really talked about exactly what these blessings meant back in the Old Testament days, and it was pretty fascinating. But I mean, they were it. I mean, it's like higher than a law, so to say. Like,
God says your word was binding.
yeah,
Because that's who you are.
yeah.
Your word is you.
And when it went through God, then down through, say, Abraham, and then through Isaac and all that, like that, I mean, it was, once you got it, it could not be taken back. One, God ain't going to go back on his word, but it was a big deal. So, I mean, he was so mad that he was trying to overtake God's way, and it didn't work out. Even for us, there's times that we know better, or we think we know better than God's plan. But I mean, that must just look completely stupid to God. Be like, them idiots think they got this figured out more than I do. Oh, shoot. All right, so verse 34. When Esau heard his father's words, he burst out with a loud and bitter cry and said to his father, Bless me too, my father. But he said, Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessings. Esau said, Isn't he rightly named Jacob? Because his name means deceiver. He has deceived me these 2 times. Okay, so he says 2 times. He took my birthright, and now he's taken my blessing. Then he asked, Haven't you reserved any blessings for me? Esau's basically saying, hey, it's not my fault. He's trying to blame Jacob, and he's not taking any responsibility. But that taking his birthright, he gave it up for a meal. There really wasn't all that much trickery on it, but he just plainly gave it up. It didn't mean as much to him as that one meal of food did. So verse 37, Isaac answered Esau, I have made him lord over you, because like I said, the blessings cannot be taken back, and have made all his relatives his servants, and I have sustained him with grain and new wine. So what can I possibly do for you, my son? And Esau said to his father, Do you have only one blessing, my father? Bless me too, my father. Then Esau wept out loud. And so now apparently Esau's all worried about getting the blessings and all that, but a few chapters ago, he wasn't. Verse 39, it says, His father Isaac answered him, Your dwelling will be away from the earth's richness, away from the dew of heaven above. So just while ago, Jacob's blessing says, May God give you the heavens dew and of earth's richness. And here, Esau's blessing is away from the earth's richness and away from the dew of heaven. All right, verse 40, You will live by the sword, and you will serve your brother, but when you grow restless, you will throw his yoke from your neck. So the Edomites, so later on Esau will have this nation, city, whatever you want to call it, of Edom. So Edomites will fight time and time again with Israel, and they basically shake off Israelite control, okay, on several different occasions. There's different places in Second Kings and Second Chronicles that they're talking about the Edomites and the Israelites. So that's what that's exactly what this blessing is saying. So you will live by the sword, and then you will grow restless, and then eventually you'll throw his yoke off from your neck. So several different occasions the Edomites have had to throw off control of Israel. So verse 41, last little section here. Esau held a grudge against Jacob because of the blessing his father had given him. He said to himself, "The days of mourning for my father are near. Then I will kill my brother Jacob." All right, so vengeance. He's already planning it. He's going to wait till Isaac dies, and then he wants to take out his brother. But he thought it was near. But Isaac's going to live another 43 years yet after this, so it's going to be a minute. So verse 42, when Rebekah was told, okay, so here she's being told, she's got an ear to the ground everywhere. Okay, she's got the spies in the family, I guess. Either that or most of the family likes her better, but either way, there's not much communication. When Rebekah was told what her older son Esau had said, she sent for her younger son Jacob and said to him, "Your brother Esau is consoling himself with the thought of killing you. Now then, my son, do what I say. Flee at once to my brother Laban in Haran." Remember Laban, Rebekah's brother from a while back? "Stay with him for a while until your brother's fury subsides." So Rebekah's hoping, like, hey, he's going to calm down. It'll time heals all, it says. So they're thinking that Esau will eventually settle down. Verse 45, when your brother is no longer angry with you and forgets what you did to him, I will send word for you to come back from there. Why should I lose both of you in one day? So that statement right there.
But he didn't do it to his brother. She did it. It was all her.
Yeah, but now he went along with it. You know what I mean?
It's funny how that works.
Right. That's why I said a while ago, what verse was that? She gets her way, okay? And what we're going to see here is that when Jacob leaves, she ain't never going to see him again. Okay, this is the last time mother sees the son. That's why sin always will matter.
She took the sin on herself.
Yep. The curse, like she said. But that last statement right there in 45, it says, "Why should I lose both of you in one day?" So the common theme on the research that I did is why she said that. She's assuming that if Esau would have killed Jacob, then God probably would have struck Esau dead. It's what the common thing was that a lot of them were thinking. Unless it was just the fact that if she killed Jacob, like she didn't even love Esau at all. But I mean, then she wouldn't be worried. Why would I lose both of you in one day? So it seems to make sense that, you kill Jacob, God's going to kill, or Esau killed Jacob, God's going to kill Esau. All right, so real quickly here, the change of topic here in verse 46. Then Rebekah, so we got that. So Jacob's going to flee, and like I said, Rebekah's not going to see him again. So then it seems like at the end of all these chapters, there's always just something odd stuck in there. So verse 46, then Rebekah said to Isaac, here they finally are talking, "I'm disgusted with living because of these Hittite women. If Jacob takes a wife from among the women of this land, from Hittite women like these, my life will not be worth living." And then we'll learn more about it later. So real quick change of topic. This is their way to get Jacob to flee, and we'll finish learning about his fleeing away and what happens when we continue in 28 later. All right, that was good stuff today. I was excited going through it because do what, Richard?
You wanna pray?
Oh yeah, all right. You want to hear?